I'm here in my studio, sorting through brushes, paints, little jars of colour that have been sitting patiently waiting to be touched again. This is how most paintings begin for me. Not with inspiration striking like lightning, but with the quiet ritual of preparing. The small, almost mundane gestures, unscrewing caps, wiping dried paint off the rim of a tube, feeling the weight of each brush in my hand. And as I'm doing this, a thought drifts in. Conditions. The invisible rules we carry. The quiet agreements that seem to shape when we allow ourselves to create, to speak, to rest, to love. I notice how many of my own thoughts are laced with conditions. Sometimes subtle, sometimes obvious. The little voice that says, you can, but only if. And I realized I wanted to sit with this, to actually break down the psychology of conditions right here while I paint. Conditions aren't simple. They aren't all bad or all good. They live in the tension between fear and wisdom, between safety and freedom. So let's imagine condition as a philosopher, 3 different versions of the same voice. The first voice is condition in its unhealthy state. This one is sharp, insistent. It whispers like law but feels like a cage. It says, not yet, not until you've proven yourself, not until the work is perfect, not until the pain has been paid in full. It tells you love must be earned, joy must be deserved, that you need a permission slip for your own existence. It doesn't strike like an enemy, but it binds like rope. It convinces you that suffering is the price of freedom, that every threshold has a toll you must pay. It wears the mask of discipline, but underneath, it's fear trying to control the future. I know this voice well. Most of us do. It's the scaffolding that once protected us when the world was too big, too fast, too unsafe, but stay there too long and the scaffolding becomes prison bars. Then there's the second voice, condition in its healthy state. This one feels different. It's steadier, quieter. It says, I can hold you. I can guide you your rhythm. I can give form to the flood of your becoming. It's not here to suffocate. It's here to steady, like the bowl that lets water be carried, or the frame that allows a painting to breathe. When condition is healthy, it doesn't demand perfection. It offers rhythm. It reminds us that devotion is not the opposite of freedom, but a way of honoring it. Healthy condition doesn't whisper, you are not enough. Instead, it asks, you are already whole. What would you like to grow? This is the kind of condition that helps me return to the canvas, even on days when I don't feel inspired. Not because I must prove something, but because discipline in its purest sense is a form of love. And then the third voice, the voice of integration. The one that doesn't pit freedom against structure, but lets them sit side by side like colours blending on a canvas. This is the philosopher that sounds most human, or maybe most wise. It says, freedom without edges unravel. Structure without kindness corrodes. Condition when integrated becomes choice. Not rule, not punishment, choice. It doesn't try to erase condition. It doesn't worship it either. It simply observes. Some conditions are scaffolding, some are cages, and some are bridges. The art is to know which is which. This is where painting speaks back to me. The brush doesn't ask if the stroke is allowed. The canvas doesn't score me. They only reflect the balance I found inside, between letting go and holding steady, between chaos and rhythm, between impulse and devotion. And I think that's what life is too. Not a negotiation with conditions, but a dialogue. Not about tearing down every limit, but about recognizing when they serve and when they stifle. Because some rules we inherit, some rules we invent, but none of them are the marrow of who we are. We are already whole. As I sit here sorting paints, I realize painting teaches me that conditions aren't enemies, they're companions. Sometimes misguided, sometimes wise, but always teachers. The work isn't to reject them or to surrender blindly to them. The work is to see them clearly, to ask, is this condition guiding me or is it blinding me? Is it helping me grow or is it keeping me small? And in that space of questioning, something loosens. The scaffolding doesn't vanish, but it stops pretending to be the sky. That's the space where freedom lives. Not the freedom of no limits, but the freedom of knowing which limits are true and which ones you're ready to walk beyond. That's the freedom I'm painting with today.